just got back from a little bit of a busy day out, and so I want to have a really cozy reading full evening today, and so I thought I would bring you along with me. And I actually think it's going to be one of my favourite evenings with reading where I both finish a book and start a new book, which I always just love. I just feel like those are some of my favourite stages of reading. I'm really looking forward to that. Speaking of the book that I have a couple of chapters left and I'm hoping to finish tonight, is Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson, which is the second book in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. I absolutely loved the first book in this series. It was my first ever 6-star read. I just enjoyed so many elements of it, and so I was really excited to start this one, and I've been really enjoying it. I'm enjoying seeing what happened next with our characters after the ending of book one. I like that it kind of rolls straight on from book one in a way, and it refers back to book one. I really like that when a series does that. I've read quite a few series that are standalone books within the same world, which I also really enjoy. It's a fun type of series to read, but at the moment I'm just really enjoying the fact that it's a continued story. So far so good, and I'm so excited to read the last couple of chapters of this one. I can't wait to see where the story ends. I feel like there's been a few interesting parts of the story that I just really want to know how they wrap up at the end of this book. So let's get started, let's get reading. I'm so excited. Finished my book, and oh my goodness, I just feel like this series is very quickly becoming a favourite of mine. I absolutely love the characters. I love Pip as a main character. I feel like she really drives the story forward, and I just enjoyed following her in book one and equally enjoyed following her in this one too. And like I kind of briefly mentioned earlier, I really enjoyed with this one that we followed, alongside following a new investigation, we also followed the aftermath of book one, whether that be through her podcast, which I really liked the element of the podcast, or whether that be through the trial following book one. I just found that a really nice aspect of the book that we were following that alongside the new investigation. I also found the new case really interesting. I felt like it was a really gripping one, and even though it was a similar premise to the case of book one, because it was currently happening as opposed to it being a cold case that Pip was reopening, I felt like it just really gripped me. There was a bit of a pressure of time alongside everything else, and so I just found it a real page turner because of that. And also, I can never mention a book in this series, I've now decided, without mentioning the audiobook. The audiobook is absolutely fantastic. I've never listened to an audiobook quite like it, where it's such a production and it feels like a TV show almost whilst you're listening to it, and I just love it. I think because there are so many different elements in this book, whether that be podcast transcripts or news articles, text messages, or whatever it might be, all the different elements that are in there, I just think it really lends itself to being such a good audiobook. The audiobooks just really add to the experience because of that. It really brings the world to life even more than the book already does. So if you're looking for an audiobook to listen to, maybe on your commute, or just generally looking for an audiobook to listen to, I would definitely recommend this series. And I rated this book 4 stars. I am very excited to see what the next book in the series is like. So I'm going to pop this back on my shelf and then start thinking about the new book that I want to start. I have a few options, so we'll chat through them and make a decision. Okay, so I've whittled my options down. We've got 4 options here. Not very neatly stacked. There we are, 4 options here. So the first book is Heavenly Bodies by Imani Eriu. This book was highly recommended to me. I was book shopping with some friends and I think they'd all read it and said that this is such a good book. It's also one that I keep seeing on Book Talk. It is a fantasy. From what I understand, it's very much based around stars and around themes like fate. I also believe there is romance in this. There's a lot to it and it just sounds like a really interesting one. It's been on my TBR for a couple of weeks. It's definitely a good option. I mean, all of these are so good. I want to read them all, so I don't know where to start. Next is Nightshade by Autumn Woods, another one that comes very highly recommended. It is basically based around Ophelia Winters. She goes to university, the university where her parents died, essentially with the aim of investigating what happened to them. I think there's quite a lot of twists and turns, quite a lot of romance. I feel like this book really combines a lot of things that I love, like the mystery aspect, the romance aspect. It's quite a lot of things that I enjoy all in one book, so a real top contender. Next is Frankie by Graham Norton, which basically follows the story of Frankie, who is now in her 80s, but one way or another we basically look back through her life. We go to post-war Ireland and then New York in the 60s. We follow her life story and we follow it as she tells her carer, who is called Damien, all about her life. So this one very much falls into the contemporary fiction category. I've read a book by Graham Norton before which was very different to this one. It was called A Keeper. It was very much a thriller and I remember absolutely loving that. It's a few years ago now, but I do remember loving it and finding his writing brilliant. So I am really interested to see what his writing style is like in this different genre. Again, another top contender. This is going to be a hard choice. And finally, we've got a book by Lisa Jewell called The Night She Disappeared. This is a thriller, a mystery book, and I think I might have mentioned this before, maybe in my TBR video that I did recently. I often give my nan a book to read that I have picked up, or if it's sitting on my TBR and I'm reading something else. My nan is a real reader and we have quite similar tastes, particularly when it comes to mysteries and thrillers. So I lent her this one to read and she gave it back to me when I last saw her and she said it was really good and she'd really recommend it, and I just trust her opinion a lot. We're both fans, again I think I've said this before, but we're both fans of Claire Douglas, which I've got a few of her books on my shelf. I haven't read before anything by Lisa Jewell. I'm not sure if she has, but I know that if she likes Claire Douglas and she likes all the other books that I like, then if she says this is a good one, it will be. So there are my options and I don't know how I'm going to decide. It just really depends. They're quite different vibes from one another actually. So it just depends what genre I want. Although this one does combine a few genres and it comes very highly recommended. Oh, I just want to read all of them. I mean, the good thing is I can read all of them. I just need to decide which one I want to read now. Okay, yeah, I think saying that about the genres has made me really want to read this one. So I'm gonna go for this. I'm gonna go for Nightshade by Autumn Woods, which until recently I thought had an element of fantasy to it. I still don't know where I got this from because I have since been told that it has no fantasy. So I have no idea where I got the idea that this is a fantasy. It's not. It's very much mystery, romance. I think it's dark academia kind of vibes, which I've never really read something like that actually, so I think that'll be interesting. Yeah, the more I'm talking about it, the more I really fancy reading Nightshade by Autumn Woods. we are a few chapters in. The main thing that I would say is that I feel like I very instantly have a feel for the characters and their personalities, and even a couple of the dynamics. To say I'm literally only a couple of chapters in, I feel like I'm really getting a sense of the whole vibe, which is really early on for me to be feeling like I know the characters. Usually it takes me a little while, not necessarily that long, but I've never felt it this early on where I just instantly feel like I get a vibe of who everybody is that I'm meeting pretty instantly. So I'm really enjoying that. I feel like that is the sign of a very well written book, to say that I'm only a couple of chapters in. Speaking of the writing, I mean, it is just really well written. All the lines are quite gripping at this point because there's a sense of mystery to things. I'm liking the kind of mysterious statements that are added in, or the inner thoughts of our main character Ophelia. I feel like they're adding a lot. We've had kind of the first interaction between Ophelia and who I believe will be the main love interest in the story. I already really like their dynamic. I feel like it's quite funny. I feel like it'll add a lot to the story and kind of who he is in relation to the story. So essentially it says on the blurb, so I feel okay with saying it. I really don't ever want to give spoilers. He is essentially the son of her prime suspect in her parents' death. So she has an element within that of realising who he is and kind of wanting to keep a bit of a distance between the two of them. So that's adding an interesting dynamic. But yeah, I feel like because of who he is, I think that dynamic is going to be really interesting to see where it goes and see how it changes over time as they get to know each other more. I think that the way their dynamic has started is just going to add a lot to the story as a whole. So really enjoying that. I mean, it's all positive so far. The other thing that I'm enjoying is the setting of the university. I don't think I've read Normal People where they were at uni for a while, but other than that, this is the first book I've really read that is based at a university. It's also based at a very specific uni that is kind of a character in itself. I feel like there's a whole vibe to the university that's probably going to become very relevant in the story of her parents. So honestly, as you can probably tell, only good things to say at this point. And before I read any more, I would like to spend a little bit of time planning this week's podcast episode. I really enjoy the planning stage of the podcast. I love researching and doing the deep dive essentially for the podcast. So if this is the first video of mine you've watched, then I have a podcast called The Bookish Deep Dive where I take different bookish topics and dive into them. This week's episode, I don't actually know if this video is going out before the episode, but I'll say what it is anyway. It is all around plot twists and kind of the art of a plot twist, what makes a good plot twist, why plot twists work and what is happening to the reader when they're reading a plot twist, everything that you can imagine around plot twists. And so far I've done quite a bit of the planning, there's still quite a bit to go, but so far I've been finding it a really interesting topic. I'm also loving that I'm researching things that I'm experiencing. So in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I feel like I experienced twists, which I did. I know I did. And so I am really enjoying having had that experience as a reader and then learning more about what's going on when I'm having that experience or why certain twists and turns work. I'm finding that whole aspect of everything really interesting. So I've got a bit of a general plan for the episode, but I just want to hone it in a little bit, spend a little bit of time doing that. I do just really enjoy the whole process of it, so I'm looking forward to doing that this evening. Okay, podcast planning is going pretty well. I'm really excited about this week's episode. I'm finding it a really interesting topic. There's quite a lot to the topic, so I just need to figure out how I want to structure the episode a little bit, which is kind of what I was just working on. I do need to spend a little bit more time on that. We're not quite done yet, but I do want to get back to reading. I have realised this evening I have not got a comfy reading outfit on. This jumper is very comfy, but I want to put some pyjamas on and just get comfy and spend a lot of my evening now reading. I want to get back to the characters in Nightshade because they are very interesting characters. So let's get comfy. I might do my skincare, just really get ready for a cozy night in. The sun is starting to properly go down, so I just want to really get fully cozy and spend the rest of the evening reading more of this book that I'm loving.